to the next video. In today's video I will show you how to display the EU consent form for European countries when displaying any kind of a ad from Google Admob in React Native's new architecture without using any third-party library. So yeah, let's get started. First step which we have to do is we have to come to Google Admob. Next so this is for Android, so I will just create an app. So go to apps, add your first app. Android, I have not deployed it to Play Store. I'll just click on continue. I'll just name it as first app, but you can give it a proper name. I'll click on add app, then I'll click on done. And now depending on what ad you are showing, you might want to create an ad unit for it. So in this tutorial I am creating an interstitial ad, so I'll create an ad unit for it. For testing purposes I will just use the test ad from the Admob documentation, but I'm just showing you how to create production ads as well. So I'll just select interstitial, my interstitial, again give a proper name, okay, and I'll click on create ad unit. Now you can just copy paste this code, copy paste this ad units inside your code. So I'll just click on done for now. Next what you'll have to do is, so I have written all the steps for creating the privacy policy. So click on add privacy policy. So firstly what you will have to do is you will have to add some privacy policy to your app as well. So maybe some web view or just inside your settings page you can add some privacy policy. So that is very important. So I won't do that in this video, because that is a simple basic thing which you can do it on your own. Then you will have to click on privacy and messaging. Then click create for European regulation. So I'll just click on create. Then we'll click create. Then we'll have to click on get started. So here you as you can see they have mentioned that add a privacy policy to your app, so you can add that. Here I will just click on get started, then click create a European regulation message. So I'll just click on this, and here if you want, so here you can see this is the setup for it. If you want you can change it, like the styling you can change it however you want to, the targeting you can change it however you want to, but yeah, I'll keep everything as default. But the important thing is you will have to select your app over here. So that's why I have created my app at the very first time, and I'll select my app. Also here you will have to add some URL, so make sure you add some URL as well. So for now I will just add https:// make sure you add a proper URL, maybe your website URL or your business URL, something like that. Okay, not Google, maybe codingwithnobody.com. nobody.com. Okay, I'll click on save. I'll also make sure I will click this add unit deployment as well. Do I have to add privacy policy? Okay, add privacy policy in the do not consent, select on. Okay, I'll click on the I'll just make sure, I think the add unit deployment may be for production purposes, but yeah, for now I'll just keep it as off. I'll click on confirm, then select your app, add privacy policy and do not consent, select on. Okay, so here you will have to select on, then you will have to click publish. So just click publish, I'll click OK. And also one thing to note is that once you, now I will show you later on in the output that how the consent form looks like, but once the user accept a consent, it only lasts for 1 year. That is the important part. So yeah, let's now move on to the demo part. Okay, now coming back to the output. So here what I'm doing is that I'm installing the app first. Now as soon as the app is installed, you will see a consent form, and the consent form does take some time to load. It is not loaded immediately. So yeah, we'll wait some time because it is an asynchronous process. once the consent form loads, now this is only for EU. Okay, uh, so EU countries, and given that I don't stay in Europe, so I'm stay in Asia, but it is possible for development purpose you show this form just for testing purposes, which I will show you later on how to do that. So first of all, what I'll do is that I will make sure I'll click on this consent button. So I'm giving the developer, okay, do show me ads. So I will click on consent. Now once the user gives a consent, then we are trying to load our ad, which also takes some time. So here you can see I'm displaying a toast message that okay, on ad loaded. Now once I click on show ad, it will show the user the ad. Now what I will do is that I will just uninstall this application again, and I will click on do not consent. Okay, so I will reinstall it. Once I click on do not consent, then like as per the documentation, what it says is that you will have to show a privacy, like inside your settings you need to have a button where in which you will tell the user, okay, you need to accept the privacy policy or the consent form, whatever it is. Okay, so here is the form. Okay, I'll click on do not consent. Now if I try to click on show ad, I'm getting an error message because the ad failed to load. Okay, now instead of showing this toast message, what you can tell the user, you can display a pop-up that okay, you need to accept this consent form first, and redirect him to the settings page, something like that. So I have kept it simple. I'm displaying a toast message, but you can display like a dialogue or a pop-up message that okay, you need to accept the consent form. And once I click on this show, suppose the user is redirected to the settings page or somewhere wherever you feel comfortable, and once he click on the show consent again, then he will see that form again. Now again I will click on do not consent. I'll click on show ad. Okay, same thing again. Now I will click on show consent again, and now I will accept the I will click on the consent button, and again the ad does take some time to load because the consent form was just accepted. And now if I click on show ad, here you can see the ad was loaded. So that's how the process is. So let's get started with the coding. So first what we will have to do is just create a React Native application, and this video is only for Android. For iOS I will make a separate video because otherwise the video will get too long. So yeah, first what you will have to do is you will have to enable the new architecture for Android. So for that you can just go to Android. So inside Android folder, go to Gradle.properties and make this new arc enabled as true. I have already done that. So if you see over here, Gradle.properties, I have made this as true. Next, inside build.gradle here, so I'm as I told you previously, I'm using interstitial ad, but you can use any ad whatever you want to. I have also updated the Kotlin version to 1.8.20. Next, inside Android manifest.xml, I have added this application tag which is required for Google Admob. Also I have added two of these metadata tags because they optimize ad loading as well. Next, what we'll have to do, so I will be following this turbo native modules documentation. So yeah, I will be copying a lot of code, so keep this documentation handy as well. Following the turbo native modules documentation, first we have to create a folder called rtn my interstitial ad. Inside that, create a package.json file. Again I have copied everything from the docs, only this name changes, this name changes, this has been changed, and this has been changed. Everything else remains the same. Next, I have created a JS folder. Inside that I have created a TypeScript file. I have created two methods one to show the interstitial ad and one to show the consent form, and everything else remains the same, copied from docs, and only this name has been changed. Next, inside Android I have created this build.gradle file. Again I have copied everything from the docs, only I have added this apply plugin Kotlin Android, as well as Kotlin standard lib implementation has been added. This namespace has been changed, and I have copied this one for displaying the Google Admob ad like interstitial ad, and this is for displaying the consent form for the European countries. Later on I will also show you the documentation on where you can find all this stuff. Okay, next go to src main java com rtn my interstitial ad, and inside that first create this package class. Again I have copy pasted everything from docs, only the package name changes, this name changes, this name, this name, this and this changes, everything else remains the same. Next I have created an add module file. Again, I have copied everything from docs. The implementation details changes a little. So first, again, make sure you change this name as well as the package name. Then we are creating an atomic boolean to check whether ads has been initialized or not. Next, we are creating a variable for this class which we have defined over here, Google Mobile Ads Consent Manager. Then we are checking whether the ad is loading or not, and here I am creating our interstitial ad, a variable for it. Then as soon as the module loads, we are initializing our Google Mobile Ads Consent Manager, and if the user has given a proper consent, then we are initializing the mobile ads SDK as well. And here you can see we are overriding the method which we have defined it on the TypeScript file, and we are just calling that method over here. Similarly for show consent form as well, we are again displaying the form, and if the user has given the proper permission, we are showing the interstitial. Next what we are doing is here is the code so this should be your folder name which you have given, and this is how, again, this has been copied from docs. This is a test ID which I have copied from docs, and yeah, this is how you load interstitial ad. But here you can see I am sending a callback to our React Native side as well once the ad has finished loading, so that you can press this show interstitial button. So these are all callbacks again copied from the documentation itself, and here we are showing our interstitial ad. Okay, and this is how we initialize our mobile ads SDK. Next, if you go to Google Mobile Ads Consent like I have literally copy pasted this code from the Google's repo for Consent Manager. So first we have to provide this SDK for displaying the user messaging platform, and here we have defined an interface for callback to be invoked. This is a helper variable to determine if app can request ads, and this is another helper variable for privacy options. This is a helper method to call the UMP SDK methods. And here is an important thing which I want to tell you guys. So this requires, so here you can see I have purposefully set the geography to be EU countries. I don't live in Europe, but I want this certificate to be displayed for testing purposes, so we want to display this. Also, you have to completely comment out this code as well as this one over here when you are ready to deploy it to production. Okay, you don't want this debug settings. That's the first thing. Second thing, this test device hash ID. So you won't know the test device hash ID at the start itself. So once we have completed all the setup, for now just keep it as empty strings. Once we have completed the setups, run your application on a real Android device. Open Android Studio. You will have to open the Android folder inside Android Studio, and inside Android Studio you will have to open Logcat. Over there you will have to search for this, just search for this like consent debug settings .builder.add test device hash ID inside Logcat. Okay, and here it will actually tell you what your hash ID is. Then just copy paste this hash ID and then run it again. Okay, also there is one more thing which I will come back to this. Like once you get the test device hash ID, you will again have to do code generation for your app. Okay, so I will come back to that later on. So this is again like requesting an update to consent information, and this is for showing privacy option form, and this is for creating instance of our Google Mobile Ads Consent Manager. So yeah, I think that should be it. Now if you go to app.tsx, first you will have to this is how you can use it. Import it something like this. I have created two buttons, one for displaying the consent form, one for displaying the ad, and you will have to open terminal, go to the root of your React Native project, and then run this command. So this is my folder name. Once you do that, you will have to do cd ... It will move you outside your React Native project, and then you will have to run this command over here, which again you can find in the React Native docs for turbo modules. But here instead of rnapp, you will have to write your own project name. So as you can see, my project name is rnapp. That's why I'm writing rnapp over here as well as over here. But whatever is your project name, use that. Next you will have to cd to the main Android folder, so this one, and then run this command. Once you run this command, then you can run your app on a real Android device. Okay, and then you can open Android Studio, open the Android folder inside Android Studio, go to Logcat, get the test hash ID. Once you update the test hash ID, which is I think over here, okay, Once you update the test hash id, again you will have to make sure you run all this command again. I think you should only just run this command, but just to be on the safer side, run all this command again, because if you just replace it over here, the code generation which is present inside node modules will not will not consider all these changes. So you will have to again run this command over again. So I think that should be it, but I'll just go through the docs as well for Admob. So here you can see we have added this, okay, inside our turbo modules. So if you go, we have added over this. Next, we have also added this metadata tag, and we are also initializing our ads SDK. The other two metadata tags which I have shown comes over here: optimize initialization and ad loading. Okay, so I have copied these two metadata tags. Next, for interstitial ad also, I think I have shown you everything. So yeah, this is how we load the ad. These are all the callbacks. So if you, I'm not sure if you guys remember it or not, so these are all the callbacks, and this is how we load the ad, and this is how we show the ad. Okay, and now if you want to see the consent form code, you can go over here, UMP. What I did was, instead of following all this, I just went over here to this Kotlin code and I copy pasted everything which is present inside the Google Mobile Ads Consent Manager. And this also, this like how to initialize it, has been copied from the docs itself. Now if you see also over here, they are adding these debug settings, and they are also telling you that this is like that as though the device was located in EEA or UK using the set debug geography. Again, you should remove these debug settings when deploying it to production, and make sure you replace the test IDs with your real production IDs which I have shown you. I think that should be it, nothing else. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye. To tell you guys one thing, so if you remember, once the user has given the consent to our form, and once the ad has loaded successfully, we are sending a callback to the React Native side, right? And I'm listening inside the use effect. As you can see, I'm listening for that particular callback, and I'm updating my this variable, and only once this variable is true, then only I'm trying to call this show interstitial ad method. Otherwise I'm just displaying an alert message. Yeah, that's it.